got 9 things, right? Very quickly, 9 things why the church needs more businesses. So I'll go through them very quickly. The empowerment of people. One of the reasons that Business Link, I think, is forming is because I felt years ago, a number of years ago, I was in Kenya with Edward at one of his conferences, and I had a very strange experience during one of their sort of prayer meeting times. We had an extraordinary burst of prayer that went on for about 20 to 25 minutes, and everyone was praying all at once, very loudly and very passionately for about 25 minutes. It just went on and on and on and on. It was almost, you could feel that it was tangible. You could almost feel the presence of God in the prayers in a way you just didn't want to stop. It was just quite an overwhelming experience. And in the middle of that, I felt God say to me, "Look at your hands." Now, I know that didn't come from me because it's not the sort of thing that would go through my head. But I just looked at my hands, and I felt him say to me, and by saying it to me, he was saying it to us. I suppose I was sort of representative of all that we are as Relational Mission. And I felt him say to me, "Through these hands are going to flow millions of pounds to touch the lives of millions of people." And I shocked myself with what I said. I said it out loud. And I shocked myself thinking, where did that come from? But I've never forgotten it. And I've thought to myself, oh, perhaps I got that wrong. It's a bit of a weird thing. Perhaps there was something in the Kenyan tea or something that day. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought, well, where did that come from? But over time, as you sort of weigh these things and you meditate on them and you really consider them, I've become convinced that was a genuine word from God. And I think what we will see as this fellowship, this sort of band of brothers and sisters begins to grow and multiply, and we find church and business more and more synchronizing in terms of mission and empowering people. I think that is not such a crazy thing God said to me. I think we could find very soon millions of pounds being released amongst us. And when you then scale that up over time, you bless a few people who then become wealth creators themselves, and then they bless others and bless others and bless others. And you can suddenly find a whole community or a whole nation being affected in ways that started very much with a seed fund, which is one of the principles of the kingdom, isn't it? It's grain the size of a mustard seed. You don't see the whole thing at the beginning. You just plant something in faith and it grows and grows and grows. I think, brothers and sisters, we need to think big. Right? I believe with all my heart God said those words to me. And I think we will see it over the course of the next 10, 15, 20 years. It's not an immediate thing, but it's a long-term trajectory. One of the most amazing things that we can do is to get alongside someone who's got skills, vision, faith, beautiful character, godly men and women, but they just lack the resources to implement what they want to do. And those of us perhaps who God has blessed with resources can say, I want to empower you to do what God's given you the vision to do. That is a most incredible thing to be involved in. And to see it, even just watching the Serbian things earlier, I thought, something in my heart goes, this is amazing. Just with a little bit of help, all the vision and the ability and the skills and the business acumen and the vision and mission for planting churches and empowering communities and blessing the poor, that can be released with a few £1,000s in a place like that. Isn't that incredible to be involved in? I mean, it makes you want to get out of bed and say, come on, I'm up for this. What can we do today? How can we help people today? On a personal note, I remember I wasn't actually... Well, I'm not old enough to remember it happening, but my family have told me about this, that my father, when he was alive, he was a businessman he was a managing director of a whole load of engineering companies. And when he was once walking along the beach near seafront in our hometown, he found a man who was sleeping rough. And he got chatting to him and found out his name was Charlie. And, one thing led to another. He chatted to him a bit more. And my father just found a place for him to live. He offered him a job working on the factory shop floor, helping out different things. And that guy's life was just turned around by a random meeting on a beach, chatting to him, and a simple act of finding somewhere to live, giving you a job. And long after my father died, this guy was still working at the factory. And I remember that story went deeply into me, because I thought it doesn't take much for someone in a position of some power to make a difference, to just simply have the conversation, pull a few strings, make a few phone calls, bang, someone's life's turned round. Many of you can do that sort of thing without even blinking, because you've got the influence, you've got the position, you've got the wherewithal to do that. And I think empowering people, to give them the choice. I mean, aid is great if someone's starving and they're not going to be able to start a business because they'll be dead. Well, clearly they need aid. But I think the long term has got to be, we want to give empowerment to people so it's sustainable. They have the dignity of work, the dignity of all their gifting and ability being able to be facilitated by small amounts of money or whatever, or even large amounts of money that we can create. And quite honestly, one of the challenges for me is that and here's a bit of a challenge for us going forward. And if you remember nothing else about what I've said, just think about this. With the Business Link thing, we've said we want all our connections and all our empowerments to be done through apostolic connections. So there's got to be a relationship with the people on the ground. So we're not just giving out money here, there, and everywhere to churches we don't really know, and it's like bits of wool on a board and you don't really know who they are. We want there to be real heartfelt friendship and connection, and a sort of a joining of values, even if we're working with partner apostolic families that are not part of Relational Mission, but we're kind of in friendship together. And that's beginning to happen. And so, for example, in the Middle East now, I've got loads and loads of opportunities to make huge difference to some of the most devastated areas of the world at the moment, through friendship, through meeting other apostles doing different things, through church communities, through refugees coming with skills, being displaced. They haven't got jobs, but they're very highly skilled. They can do different things. I've got so many opportunities, but I haven't got the money. And yet what we're finding now is that there are now an emerging group of businessmen and women amongst us who are saying, we've got a heart to empower people, but where do we start? So I think what will happen over the next few years, is that increasingly these connections that God gives to me and to Morris and Steph, where we suddenly find, there's real partnership happening here with these group of churches, with these brothers that we're working with. And then there'll be wealth creation happening in our midst where, for a little bit of connection, there's suddenly a business plan here and a pot of money there. And you put those two things together and suddenly empowerment happens and things can happen. So right now, if I had £300,000, if I had that, I'm not asking for it, I'm just saying, if I had £300,000, we've got a whole agricultural plan in the Middle East, in the most war-torn area of the Middle East, where we could build houses for families, give them a plot of land. They could do all sorts of different farming things that they've come with the skills from where they've been displaced from. We could put all that together. The business plan's in place, the site is in place, everything is in place. We're just ready to press go. We just need £300,000. I could do that with, you may remember we did that with the bakery at Christmas. And again, in another war-torn area of the Middle East, £50,000. I managed to find two very wonderful people who said, we'll give half each, £50,000. We set up a bakery where in this particular place, people queue for 4 to 6 hours every day just to get bread. There's now another bakery in that place that we did, that came through relationship and some people with some money saying, I want to invest in that. I could do that again and again and again, because we've got lots of places we could do more and more bakeries. So the point I'm making is, it's not a difficult point, is that apostolic connection and then business skill, it's not just about the money, it's about mentoring and coaching and helping people implement it. You put those things together, I tell you, there's something very powerful for the gospel there. Do you agree? Because I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if we look back over the years and there was more and more videos like we've seen today, and there's still so many videos, we haven't got time to show them all, because there's story after story after story after story, not just of businesses starting, but of people coming to Christ through the influence of those businesses.